everybody, and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we are reviewing the Sencut Citius, or Citius, or, whatever. So this, I believe, is the 9CR. Yeah, they made one 9CR, one D2. This is the 9CR. This is on ceramic ball bearings. Unlike most Civivs, they're coming in on steel ball bearings. Sencut has moved to the ceramic ball bearings. This has a very heavily stone-washed blade with a nice hollow grind coming in. They call this a drop point. I mean, this is kind of almost a spear point. It's call it whatever you want. I mean, blade shapes are just titles at this point. They all cut shit. These G10 scales with a deep carry pocket clip, it is not recessed. It kind of sticks out there quite a bit. Let's see here if you guys can see. See that? Sticking off the scales quite a bit, but that's all right. And it is ambidextrous with the lanyard hole right here. Stainless steel liners. The action on this guy, pretty darn good for a... I got it for 33 bucks, but they're not on sale anymore. So I think they're coming in around $40 to $45 for the Sencut, and that's probably their upper limit. This has a nice flipper tab with a little bit of jimping on there. It's not uncomfortable at all to flip. This is one of those that you could probably flip all day and not be mad at. Alright, so if anybody doesn't know, Sencut is a branch off of WE, which is supposedly a budget brand of Civivi, and Civivi's a better brand of Sencut into WE. Does that make sense? You got Sencut, Civivi now, and WE. So Civivi used to take over that budget range, but as you can see, a lot of their models are either starting to go away, or the backlash and the fracture, we'll call it. Here's the other one. This is the fracture. The backlash and the fracture, they're kind of getting morphed into the Sencut brand. I think what they're trying to do is kick the Sencut brand off, but they're not really trying to give it too much. They just want to see where it goes right now. I anticipate we're going to see much more out of Sencut in 2021, but up to this point, all they've released is the Actium and the Citius, or the Citius. Let's get you guys some specs. Alright, so the overall length is coming in at 7.5. Man, this thing does not want to sit still. Come on, relax. 7.5. The overall cutting edge is coming in at just about, the overall blade length is coming in at just about 3.25, and the overall cutting edge is just about the same. It does have this sharpening choil right here, not a finger choil. You will cut your pinky little finger. Don't do it. And I don't know why your pinky would be up here in the first place. Alright, let's check the overall weight of this guy. Hello, mother. So this is coming in at 2.52 ounces, a very, very lightweight knife. This is the Citius, remember that. Or Citius. Now, let's get to the blade stock thickness. Left-handed, special. Coming in at 120 thousandths. The behind the edge thickness is coming in right at about 20 thousandths. Let's check the upper tip now. Just the tip. Coming in right at about 20 thousandths. So it's a fairly slicey blade. Now let's check the overall handle thickness. Coming in at right at 0.47 inches thick. Just about half an inch. That's pretty good. You guys know that I kind of say that the average is 0.5. I'm finding that most of the averages are coming in at under 0.5, especially when they have the flatter scales. But, let's see here. The overall thickness in your pocket is a 1.06. To put that into perspective, the PM2 is coming in at 1.6, the PM3 is coming in at a 1.66, and the Manix 2 is coming in at a 1.76. Alright, let's get into some size comparisons. Let's start off with CJRB, because that's who this is really aimed at, potentially, right? CJRB is going to be the one that's most worried about Sencut, along with the QSPs down there with the penguins and such. So this knife is coming in right in between the feldspars. We got the feldspar sandwich going on here. The mini's just a little bit smaller, and the regular size feldspar is just a little bit longer. So it's a fairly, in length, it's about an average size knife. Not in profile though. The profile's super narrow. As you can see, it is just a little bit smaller than the PM2. Maybe the same length with the long handle as the PM3, but way more cutting edge. Here is your rat sandwich. It's coming in at slightly longer than the Rat 2, a little bit shorter than the Rat Model 1. And now for the one that we kind of want to see. Let's start off with some typical Civivis that I got here. I got the Brigand. And I have the Odium. As you can see, much larger than the Odium. A little bit shorter than the Brigand. Not by much, though. Now, I'm going to do one more Civivi sandwich here. Here is the Dogma. It's just about the same length as the Dogma, maybe a little bit smaller. But here is the Fracture. Now, as you can see, let's get the Dogma out of here, kind of talk about the similarities between these two real quick. So I know the Fracture is a slip joint. I would be kind of remiss if I didn't acknowledge that. And the Fracture's a little bit wider in the scales and longer in the scales. But if you look at the overall blade length and the overall cutting edge and the overall grind, all they did was take this part of the Fracture out, make it straight, and then change the second or the primary bevel. And there you go. It's the same exact blade. They probably cut it from the same exact stock. No, this is HCR. But they're both stonewashed the exact same way. See that? So a lot of the same design language. Even the handle. The handles are a little bit different because you can see right here with that Civivi logo right there, and it gets a little bit wider, but it encompasses where the pocket, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it pocket picker, where the flipper tab would go. And it's slightly overall longer, but everything else is the exact same. So now let's talk about this guy and whether or not it's worth it. So we got some heavy chamfering going all around here. The cool thing that they did with this brand is they turned everything into a T8, except for the pocket clip screws. Those are T6. But that's a T8, that's a T8, that's a T8, T8. So very cool. This pivot is not captive, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, for the sake of science, since I don't exactly remember, see something here. See? Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? I don't know if you guys can see that turning with it, but it's turning with it. There we go. So it's not a captive pivot at all. Which is okay. That's where they save some dough, right? That's where they chose to save a little bit of money. No, I should probably tighten it up if I'm going to do that. They chose to save a little bit of money. They didn't do a captive pivot. Whatever. You know, we'll get over it. Especially for 40 bucks. Are we really that mad? The centering, perfectly centered. The action, very darn good. Now, check out this blade profile, or the profile of this knife overall. As we said, the PM2 or the PM3 is a little bit longer, but look at these. Just the overall profile in your pocket. It's insane. It's incredibly smaller. Let's try to do it like this. See that? Now the thickness is a little bit thicker than the PM3. Slightly, maybe the same. Nah, it's slightly thicker, but not much. That's okay. So the chamfering, pretty good. We like that there is a sharpening choil on here. The opening methods via the flipper tab works just fine. Can we fail it? Probably. Oh. I can fail it. Remember, I'm good at failing. So You can also spidey flick it. You can also get in there and thumb flick it. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's a pretty fidgety little guy. Now, for, let's say it's around $44, I think is what it's coming in at. Is this worth it? You have 9CR, you're on ceramic ball bearings, you got a stone-washed blade with a hollow grind, comes to a very narrow edge. There's some chamfering, which means they put some design into this. It is ambidextrous, and let's see where my flashlight is. We'll show you guys these skeletonized scales that they have here. So on one end, there's a little bit of skeletonization. On the other, there you go. So you can see that the show side has a ton of skeletization in there, while the non-show side only has a little cutout down there. There we go. That's all it is. Now, I looked at the Actium versus the Backlash, and it is the exact same thing. The show side is severely skeletonized, while the non-show side with the liner lock isn't as skeletonized. I don't know if they found a way to save a bunch of money by doing that. I'm not sure what the difference is, because obviously the Backlash weighs more, so it's kind of hard to compare the two. Same thing with the Fracture. They're not the exact same thing, short of the skeleton. But, you know, that's interesting. It's just something to note. Like I said, it's a pretty lightweight knife coming in at 2.4 ounces. I mean, that's super lightweight. Talked about the lanyard hole. It's pretty cool. You know, is this knife worth it? For $40 for 9CR 18 MOV, for ceramic ball bearings, for chamfering around the G10 scales, yeah. I mean, if this is the style that you like that narrow kind of, it's almost like a stabby looking little guy, and you don't even realize that it's in your pocket. That's one of those that you kind of forget about. Not quite as much as the bug out, because the bug out's a little bit lighter, a little bit thinner, but close, right? So if that's what you're going for, this is definitely worth it. They did a very good job of taking some of Civivi and Wii's design language and quality, because this has no quality issues with it either. The fit and finish on it's great. I have no complaints about this knife whatsoever. Now, did they skimp a little bit? Does that look kind of cheesy? Oh, let's see if it'll focus. See how it's just sitting on top there? The camera doesn't do it justice. It feels like it's literally just plopped right on top of it. It kind of looks just like they did this. You know, where there's metal just on top. But, you know, for $40 and to kickstart a company, you can only think that once this company gets rolling, they might add a little bit more, or they might stay cheap and just try to keep this the budget, entry level, taste this drug before you go to Civivi, before you go to Wii. Who knows? But this is a Sencut Citius. It's $44. I definitely think it's worth it. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a Civivi fan, Wii fan, or if you just like budget knives. This is a very good knife to check out. My name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.